It's no secret that you have a lot on your plate right now. I mean, a lot. You have your studies, you have your business, your passions, your hobbies. Still, you want time for your friends and family. I get it. It seems like it's impossible to manage everything, but at the same time, we still have to do it, right? We still have to go ahead and make progress on our goals. And I want to tell you right now that it's possible. It's possible with the right system. It's possible with the right techniques to support you. If you are going ahead without any plan, you are in it for a very, very rough ride. We know how anxiety provoking it can be to feel like we're constantly running out of time. You will not feel like that after this video, hopefully. My name is Jun Yu. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. I have a lot on my plate as well, and I try my very best to be forgiving of the fact that I am a human being, and that's always going to be point number one, where we do have to recognize that we are not robots, okay? We're not going to be extremely efficient every single second of our lives, and that's okay. I don't want you to feel like you have to have a perfectly clean desk, a perfectly clean apartment all the time. I don't want you to feel like you have to get every single assignment done exactly on the day you were given, and I get it. We're human beings. We're gonna have these faulty moments, and that's just life, and that's okay. But hopefully with these techniques that we will add onto your repertoire, you're going to be able to be best prepared for moments like this, and you'll at least have a plan to activate. If you have any questions at all, leave them in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up, and of course subscribe. With that being said, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. The first tool I want to provide to you is the second brain. Now, I've talked about this in the past a whole lot, and there's good reason for it. And if you are a bit confused as to what I mean by second brain, I don't actually mean doubling your own physical brain. I mean having somewhere, whether it's a digital platform or whether it's a physical one, to allocate a lot of the information that you are constantly collecting on a regular basis. And it's really a good way of organizing your thoughts and the resources that you come across without taking up extremely valuable bandwidth in your own mind. What I mean by this is, on a regular occurrence, we are shown thousands of inputs, right? Whether that's visual or auditory, we see them, especially with our phones, right? We're constantly having this barrage of different inputs, different information, and our brains have a limited capacity to how much it can have in its working memory at a time. So that means that as you are constantly being thrown different things, our brains are forgetting a lot of it, and it needs to. That's the physiological behavior that occurs. So if that's the case, how can we best organize the information so we're not in a position where we're thinking, oh yeah, I know that I was supposed to do X, Y, or Z, and I can't seem to remember exactly what it was or what was my responsibility, and now you're thinking about it, you're causing yourself anxiety, it causes you to further procrastinate. That's not what we want, especially if you're a creative and you have a lot of content to develop of some capacity. What happens a lot of times is we shouldn't ever start from zero. Like, starting from scratch is one of the greatest nightmares for a creative because it takes you forever. But if you can have previous work that you build upon, if you can look at your strengths, things that had worked in the past, and start to tailor, like, that's how you start to really be efficient with your work. And a second brain allows you to do that. There are digital cloud-based note-taking apps that you can utilize, like Notion. I use that myself now, but for quite a long time in high school, we were given agenda books, and that was my thing, right? I used it for my daily planner. I used it to identify my goals. I used it to track my progress. So a physical planner or something that can be even a file system for yourself that helps you organize your life, whether it's a binder, etc., can be very, very, very valid. So just figure out whatever works for you and just identify a way in which you can take information that you're hearing in real time and collect it somewhere, and then you can best organize it so that you always have those things in front of you in some capacity. This way, you will never forget valuable information. You won't waste precious energy or time trying to figure out what it was that you might have forgot. That's the worst case scenario, so I would highly recommend a second brain. The second tool that I'm going to suggest, hopefully you're already using it if you've watched my videos up to this point, it's a calendar. I love a plain old simple calendar because it gives you structure. And I know immediately when I say that, I get pushback every single time of individuals that say, oh no, a schedule limits my creativity or my spontaneity, and I understand your concern, but the best schedules are done through practice. It's an appropriate allocation between rest, work, and play. If you can start to manage those things that you really do enjoy, right? You can be present in those moments as well, because in your schedule, you realize, yeah, you know what? I can actually spend the 3 hours or 4 hours with my family and friends without feeling guilty or anxious about the fact that I should be doing something else. A calendar provides you that ease of mind because it gives you clarity. And especially when you are constructing a calendar prior to the actual days of work, it allows you to reduce decision fatigue, right? We're constantly making decisions all the time throughout our days. A schedule is the best friend for a procrastinator, right? It tells you exactly how to approach it. It tells you this is how I'm going to best manage it, and you'll get better at it, right? So what I mean by better at it is you'll do a good job of allocating enough time per task. I highly recommend the time blocking technique. And this is just a really great way to visually organize your time so that you can ensure that you're making the best use of it. The third technique that I want to provide as advice to you is delegation. And if you don't necessarily have a team to delegate to just yet, then I would highly recommend using AI for this purpose. Now, what I mean by this is, even just this past 2 days, I've been highly in the weeds of brainstorming for our next business venture, exactly how I believe it should be formatted, the right types of marketing funnels. All of that has been what I've been living and breathing for the last 48 hours. But in the midst of that, there's a lot of creative work that needs to be done. There's a lot of synthesizing of information. There's a lot of brainstorming that occurs, and it can be very sometimes wasteful for you to just sit by yourself and just say the thing to yourself over and over and over again. You sometimes do need another perspective to hopefully open up a new avenue, a new door that you might have not thought was possible or you couldn't even think of. And that's where AI can become really beneficial. Now, this is something I use to really do just that. It's to brainstorm together. It's me coming up with a structured plan, feeding into AI and asking it, hey, are there any holes in this? What are the weaknesses? What am I not thinking of? What are some of the things that my competition in the market are doing? What are some things that I can improve upon? That helps me think about new ways of attacking and identifying the weak points of my own plan. And that helps me better tailor it to actually fit the needs that I am looking for. And so that's how AI can play a role, especially when you're in this midst of brainstorming a lot for creative work. But we see this happen in school and business a lot of the times. Now, delegation for a team is really effective because you have to realize that you can only do so much. And it's really important that you recognize your own strengths and you lean into them, especially while working for a team or while working in a team. So what I mean by this is, if you have tasks that perhaps someone is better suited for, because that allows you to have more space and energy for things that might have a larger return on your investment, that's what you should do. So for quite a long period of time, I was doing everything alone. I was doing my personal branding alone. I didn't have a team. I was doing all the content myself, brainstorming all the content myself, editing and posting and all of that stuff, every little bit of it myself. And then when it came to the business, I was doing every little bit of that myself. And that was exhausting. And I realized that there was a bottleneck, and the bottleneck was me. It was my own ego. I was getting in my own way. I need to recognize that there were other people that could do the job better than me, especially if they have the bandwidth to do it. And now I work in a very well-adjusted team where all of our strengths are identified and we focus on those, of course, with me having the approach where I oversee and I approve all the different things that are ongoing. But I believe that this is the best way that you can make use of your time, especially in business. But even when you think about group projects in school, that's also what you should be doing, right? Can you stay associated and aligned with things that you're good at? Can you manage and delegate the tasks that other people are good at, match their strengths associating with it? That I truly believe is somebody that knows how valuable time is, and that is you. And the final tip that I want to provide to you is to have an accountability system. Now, if you can have other people join this accountability system that are like-minded as you, even better. It's the idea of, if you've ever trained with a workout partner, you start to realize that you're much stronger than you thought you were. You're lifting weight that you didn't think that you could for more reps than you thought that you could. It's because that individual is there to objectively give their perspective and to hold you accountable. In that moment, a lot of great things happen. You tap into energy levels that you didn't even think were possible, right? And that's the exact reasoning why you should have an accountability system for your whole life, right? If you can have one, not just for the gym, but for really the important goals of your life, ensuring that your mind, your body, and your spirit is held as the priorities for you, and you remain aligned to those things while somebody or something keeps you accounted for, it's a great idea. And I truly believe that you need to be the one that can hold yourself accountable, point blank period, because you're with you all the time. You're not always with somebody else. But in our mentorship program, we provide just that, an opportunity where you have an exclusive network of accountability partners to ensure that you're staying on track of your goals. I would recommend something like that. I would recommend that you go and try to find individuals around you to do that with, because that could be extremely beneficial as you try to take the next step. We recognize that consistency and discipline is the way to achieve your success, but those things are earned, those things are learned, like those things are actual skills that you need to develop. And if they're going to be developed, you need to have the accountability system around you to ensure that you're staying on track. So I highly recommend that you have some form of this, a community that you can rely on. And on a personal level, if you can start to implement journaling, identify and track your progress towards your goals in a manner that you identify your weaknesses and your strengths, like those are all really great ways for you to ensure that you're being held accounted for. If you go your whole life feeding into all these excuses, you will never get to where you want to be, and eventually you will wake up to the nightmare and it might be a little bit too late. I don't want that to be you. Right now, you should have a sense of urgency to hold yourself accountable, and that's why I saved this one for the very end, because it's so incredibly important. Now, with that all being said, that wraps up this video in terms of how can you best manage your time, and I hope that you've been able to come out of it with a game plan for yourself so that you feel best prepared in situations like this, because it inevitably occurs as human beings. You don't have to be perfect, but if we can get back even 20 or 30 minutes of our days, it's going to have a huge compounding effect in the long term. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Leave your comments below, give this video a thumbs up, and of course, subscribe. So until next time, please take care of yourselves, and I will see you all at the top.